stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Excuse me, we've got some public hearings tonight. Unless I'm mistaken, the Coats Point was closed at our last meeting.
Not the Coast Point. No, you've
Yeah, the one?
been tabling that one right along.
You can take it.
Okay. I thought it was. Well, we're going to close that hearing for the present. It will probably never come again. We have not had any noted violations, and I think we might as well move along. Next year, we may have to do another testing and whatnot to determine, but because of various circumstances for this year, there was no apparent problem with the septics up there. Item number 2 would be proposed hearing for a new local law. You have the specs on that, young lady?
That is the local, wait, here it goes. That's a local law to allow the town to intervene in insurance claims in the event of fires. Whereas now, it's strictly between the homeowner and a lender. If there's a mortgage on the property, the town has been faced with issues where property owners have basically taken whatever's left and left the property as a burned out, abandoned shell, a couple of which we're still dealing with now. So this will allow the town to basically make that three-party transaction so to be sure that the property's coming back.
So how do we notify the insurance company?
If you adopt this, there's a form that actually gets filed with the insurance department down in Albany, and it puts all the insurance companies on notice, and I'm sure they must have it somehow internally that they just check a box that Ticonderoga has elected in to this provision of the insurance law. There's actually a New York State insurance law provision that deals with it.
Because we have to file this with the state, I have to file it with the state once it's finally adopted.
So we file with the Department of State, that's the local law, and then we file a certificate with the insurance department that we've opted in. It's Section 331 of the insurance law.
This is not a public hearing, this is just an announcement of it, or is it?
No,
This is the public
It is the public hearing?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Do we have anyone that would like to speak on this?
Yeah. Number one, how many homes are in Ticonderoga?
Off the top of my
Anybody
head.
have a does
We have over-
educated guess?
2,200?
3,000 parcels
Okay.
in the tax roll.
And how many homes are involved right now with this particular law that you are looking to pass to protect this?
All of them.
No. You're not.
None of
you're-
them. None of them at present because it's not the law.
That's right.
But they would all be subject to this
Okay.
if we
Well,
passed the
how many
law.
homes are, let me put it this way, then. How many homes are involved that you are trying to get this law passed? That are not complying with the,
How many burned out structures?
How many burned out structures?
yes,
Burned out, I think there's 4 or 5.
okay, so for
Abandoned,
4 of,
hear me out. Abandoned, there's probably another 6 or 7.
are the taxes up to date on those properties?
Some are, some aren't.
Okay, then is there not a law that says after so many years, what is it, 3 years of not paying the taxes, they can go to auction through the county,
Yes?
and then the town gets paid off for any work that they do?
No? That's the misconception.
Well, that's who you should be looking at, you should, when a person's house burns down, they're at one of the lowest points of their life, and you want to hold up their insurance checks?
No.
What's the law say then?
The law says that they need to comply with the rules of Ticonderoga as far as getting their cleanup straightened out and following the intent of the community in regards to keeping properties in a proper order.
Right, so for right now...
As long as they do that, there will be absolutely no holdup to their insurance. None whatsoever.
Okay.
So don't say that we're going to hold up their insurance. We are not. We are, let me finish, please. Let me finish, please. I let you finish? Let me finish. What we are saying to these people is that we have rules here. We have had experiences with individuals that don't think they need to follow the rules of our community. And it puts their neighbors in a position that is not fair and equitable and is not going to be tolerated by the town of Ticonderoga, because their neighbors are the constituents that we're trying to protect with this law. As long as they follow those rules, they will not have any hold up for their insurance money or anything else. If they don't follow the rules, the neighbors and the constituents and the good people of Ticonderoga that do follow the rules have recourse to take advantage of what resources are available so that the rules are followed. That's what the law says.
Okay. How long a time does the people have after a fire? Right now, according to your laws, do they have to get their property in beautiful, perfect order again?
Depends.
There's not a sound answer to that. That's, Dick, no, that's why we need this.
So,
Because it's been played with politically, it's been played with by different laws that don't cover the situation properly, and that's what we're trying to do, is get a tool that protects the constituents' rights in Ticonderoga. And I don't see a thing wrong with that. It's the right thing to do. What's wrong is the people, the scofflaws that take advantage of the system and leave burnout rat holes dotting the landscape of Ticonderoga. Would you want to live next to one?
well, right now, out of 3,000 homes, you got 7. You got 4 burned out, and you got 3 more that are not burned out, they're just abandoned.
Well,
So-
I think the number might be higher than that.
So, okay, so we'll make it 10. I'll be
Whatever.
We'll make it 10.
Okay?
All right? Now, by putting you as a third party on my insurance claim, when do I get paid off in a fire? How soon do I get paid off after a fire?
Mr. Fuller, you want to address that?
Yeah, I'll take it. I understand, I see the question you're trying to get at, Dick, and I think the reality is this, is we've got a couple of them going right now, you know, and for the town to intervene and try to take those properties down, honestly, you are anywhere 30 to 50 to upwards of $100,000 to take a house down. So I think from a taxpayer standpoint, you got to make a decision, okay, are we okay fronting that cost to get these houses down and people walk away from them? Or do we want to have this as another tool in the toolbox to say, you know, I put it in this scenario. If somebody's house burns and they're simply going to walk away, they say, you know what, we're not going to deal with it, we're done with that. That's the scenario the town worries about, right? Because then, like you said, you know, you can assess it to the taxes, but the reality is the property's only going to sell at a sales price, right? It's one of those, whatever somebody's going to pay. And if they don't pay enough so that it pays off the town's claim if they had to take the property down, then you as the taxpayers have eaten that. You've eaten that cost. On the flip side of it is, if you are the property owner and the town has this law, and your house burns down, and you make that decision that we're just gonna walk away, the town gets to say, well, no, that's not entirely acceptable. You know, you, property owner, and if there's a bank, you bank, aren't gonna simply agree that the mortgage is gonna get paid off, you're gonna get the balance, and you're gonna walk away. That's not acceptable. You know, is it a big, huge number of properties? I don't think so. But even if you have one or two, you know, I would think, from my standpoint, obviously I don't have a dog in that fight, but having dealt with them with the town board, having to explain to them the cost, if we have to have a contract with them to take them down, the town doesn't have that money. It's just a question, I think, from the taxpayer standpoint, do you want to bank that money so that when you need it, you can just go into that account and take these houses down? Or do you want to take what's maybe, I think, an easier solution, get in line, be there, and if they're going to rebuild the house and make the repairs, town's out of the way.
But that doesn't answer my question though, Matt, as to when does the insurance money get paid to the people at one of the lowest point in their life, when they really need
Okay.
this money? Everything they have is burned up. When they really need this money, is the insurance company gonna say, well,
I
if
got it.
the town
No, I
says
got
we
it.
got five, excuse me, I'm talking, let me finish, please. When the town says, we give you 3 months to clean your property up after you fire. That means then that the insurance company don't give me 1 nickel unless I comply with that 3-month period. That means I have to wait 3 months before I can go to Walmart and buy clothes?
No.
For my fire insurance money?
Yeah, there's two different parts of insurance. I see what you're asking now. When you have, it's kind of like your car insurance, your house insurance, anything like that. Most policies, there's a couple different parts to them, right? One is the indemnification, meaning if your car gets wrecked or your house burns down, it's the cost to replace that or the value of it. And the other is your policy could have, like what you're talking about, the incidentals of a place to live in the meantime, you know, replacement of your belongings. We're not talking about intervening in the cost or your value of your TVs and your clothes and where you're going to live.
But that's homeowners insurance.
Yeah,
That's not fire insurance. We're talking about fire insurance. Fire insurance is what covers your building when it burns.
That's the part
Yes.
that is encumbered.
So, I mean, so you're gonna say, well, geez, you got homeowners, you gotta have homeowners, or you gotta have a renter's policy, you still got money coming in, you don't have to worry about your fire insurance. Well, I need to worry about my fire insurance, Matt.
Yeah, we're not saying, there's no intervention in you getting replacement for your belongings and those kinds of things. It's, the intervention part comes along if the parties are gonna decide, if you don't have a mortgage, it's just you. If you do have a mortgage, it's you and your bank, are just gonna decide to walk away. That's the part that is not acceptable. The whole replacing your belongings and things like that is not part of this.
Okay.
That doesn't get helpful.
Now, I'm getting kind of old, right? I own my own property. I don't have a mortgage.
Yeah.
Suppose I say, well, if the town is going to put their hand in my pocket and be partners with me for paying my fire insurance that they don't pay for, but I do, but they're going to be my partners in this fire insurance, I'm canceling my fire insurance.
Let me, that would be your choice to make,
Absolutely.
okay? Anyone has that choice. But the issue that Matt's making, and I would like to make, is that what he's saying about the replacement of your possessions and valuables, non-tangible property, okay, the town doesn't touch any part of that.
Because you have no right.
And, excuse me, okay, you just yelled at me for talking, okay, let me finish. If you're interested, if you have a fire and you want to get your money in the quickest manner possible, you get after your insurance company, you get after your adjusters to get them there, get the numbers done, get the amount of damage done. You get after your bank, all right? And then you come to the town and you have that property cleaned up and say, I'm ready to rebuild, or I'm going to tear it down, or whatever. And as soon as you make that decision, and as soon as you get your adjustment done, we can sign off. We aren't gonna hold you up for 5 minutes. But if you try and take the money and run and leave that property for the taxpayers to clean up, you're not gonna be able to do it. Because right now, do you wanna step up and pay for the burned out properties in Ticonderoga that need cleaning up?
There's ways.
As a taxpayer? No, there aren't, Dick, trust me. If you've got ways, you come see me and we'll discuss them. But I've been researching this hard as I can for the last 9 months. And if you can find them, you let me know, because I cannot.
What about the laws that, I've been to a lot of board meetings in my lifetime since I've been here.
That's always a dangerous thing.
Yes, I know, because you get a lot of crazy information from the laws that passed 10 years ago, now all of a sudden they're not legal anymore. But nobody bothers to tell the people that. But the thing is, I don't see how you can, look, they have laws that has been passed by this town that if something is wrong with your property, that they can go in there and clean it up and put it on the people's tax rolls.
A litter law.
Huh?
A litter law.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, why not expand the litter law?
We have it.
We have.
To cover burned out buildings?
We have that.
We have that.
Then why do you need this then?
Because if the people walk away,
You're right.
if they take their insurance money and they walk away and they leave that burned out building, the town taxpayer is stuck for the cost of taking that down, period. The county won't do it, the state won't do it, and if you don't want to look at those eyesores, you're going to buy. I don't want to. Not when I know, from the business I was in, I know that most insurance policies written today have provisions in them for demolition, okay? That money is there in that policy. But if the person decides, the hell with it, I'm not gonna do that, and puts the money in their pocket and walks away, the way the law is written now, the taxpayer's stuck. The way this law is written, it takes the taxpayer off the hook, and it takes that demolition money back out of the pocket and spends it on cleaning up that property to protect the adjoining property owners and the rest of the constituents in town. And that's the right thing to do.
Is there no way that the town can purchase an insurance policy against just such buildings as you're talking about here? You're only talking about 7 buildings out of 3,000.
Why should the town taxpayer buy fire insurance for you? That's what you're asking for. So you can take your insurance money and instead of doing the right thing, you put it in your pocket, go down the road and stick your neighbor.
I just don't want the town to put their hand in my pocket when I'm paying, if the town was paying a portion of my fire insurance, I'd put you right on the policy quicker than snot. But as long as you're not, I'm gonna argue against it.
I think we're gonna agree to disagree on this one.
I guess we will.
Okay. Anyone else? That being the case, there's no reason to continue this hearing. We will declare this hearing closed. And we have a third on the agenda for tonight, which is a joint increase and improvement of the facilities of sewer districts number 2 through number 12.
That is your public hearing on the funding for the stream daylighting, green infrastructure. I forget the other G. The GIGP grant that we have from EFC. to separate stormwater off of our, it's to daylight streams
Stormwater.
right now in pipes.
Old, 200 years ago, the town started building stone culverts and whatever, and picking up all the streams that come down off of Mount Defiance and the surrounding hills and used to meander through the village. Those were eventually put into a collection system, and a lot of it was taken to the river. That collection system was expanded and began to include septic systems, septic lines from the houses that were built near where these streams used to run. That progressed to the point where the state came in the 60s, 70s and said, can't do that anymore. We're going to take all these old culverts and streams and we're going to put in all these pipes and we're going to take them into the sewer plant. So we have a joint storm septic treatment plant. Now the state is saying, you boys were crazy when you did that because you know you can't afford to treat that stormwater along with the septic water, and we got to get that stormwater back out of the system now. So that's what this project is about. It's going to be one of several. It's going to be something that's ongoing for a number of years. It's already going on. It's already been accomplished in some areas. But that's the nitty-gritty of what's happening with this grant and work that we're trying to do on the sewer system.
And it's not a town-wide expense, it's an expense solely borne by
The
districts 2 to 12, and I think it's 570 of it, somewhere in there, 520 of it is reimbursed with a grant.
Correct.
And the total project cost is $825, is it? But there's also some of that that's in the plant. There are a couple of things with 842, 245, and it's not the entire project. There were some other things we had to do with the CSOs, combined sewer overflows, along with this project.
Anyone in the public like to address any of this? Any questions?
I'll ask the question, Rich Ray here.
Yes.
I'll ask the question of, just ask for further elaboration on that comment that was just made about not everyone in town being involved with paying for it. It gives the impression that virtually everyone is, 2 through 12. Who is not going to be contributing toward paying for this, and why are they not included?
It's anybody outside of those sewer districts, so sewer districts 2 through 12. And the reason is that legally, this is a benefit project. It's benefiting those districts that are tied onto the sewer plant. So the town couldn't assess that outside of those districts. So it couldn't be a town-wide.
And I may have misunderstood. You're basically saying anybody who has sewer currently, they would be part of the 2 through 12.
Well, no, there's one district that's outside of that. There's District 1, but District 1 has its own system. It's not tied to the plant. So it's only districts that are tied to the plant.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question.
Good question. Any others? That being the case,
What we have to do tonight on that is close the public hearing. I did have emails back and forth today with Doug, the bond counsel.
Okay.
We will get these documents down to him, and then at one of your meetings later in the month, you'll adopt the final resolution.
okay. So we'll call that hearing closed. And move into the agenda for the evening. First item up is an invitation for the public to address the board. Anything in particular you have that anyone would like to bring up at this time?
I'll go. As you know, I'm a big advocate of the state police in Ticonderoga as a cost-saving measure. And the biggest argument, most of the times that I hear about having the state police in here, is that they will not be able to answer calls in a timely manner. because they have to travel from Crown Point and travel from School Lake. Well, it would be my suggestion to have the state police in the town, in the barracks. That would be my suggestion. I just want the town to know that approximately 5 or 6 weeks ago, I was up at 1:30 in the morning watching TV, and a car got disabled across the street from my house. 2 people got out of the car and started to walk down the street, and 2 people stayed in the car. I didn't know what was happening, and I didn't know if there was possibly a drug deal going on, or somebody was hurt in the car and 2 people were leaving because of it. So I stupidly called 911. I specifically asked the 911 operator to send a state police car, and I told them the car was located between the Corduroy Road and the Hall Road. So they had to know where the car was. The operator specifically told me he was not going to contact the state police, he was going to contact the Ticonderoga police. So okay, I have no choice in the matter. Well, I waited, and I waited, and I waited. And it took 31 minutes before a town cop come up to check the car. 31 minutes. So when I hear the argument, and the arguments that I make about state police taking so long to be in town when they have a barracks, we all know now that that's a crime, because it takes the local cops 31 minutes to get up to my house after a 911 call. And I did not state it was an emergency. Don't get me wrong. I did not state it was an emergency. I did not say these people had a gun. I did not say I was in danger of my life. I just reported what I saw. But it took 31 minutes for the local cop to get up there.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
The first thing you are asked when you make a 911 call, what is your emergency? What did you say?
I told them that there was a disabled car between the Hall Road and the Canfield Road, and I thought it should be investigated.
Okay.
And I said, I'd like to see the state police come there, because I know the state cops are always on 74 anyway. But they said specifically that they were going to send a Ticonderoga officer.
Did they say why?
No, I didn't ask why. I just figured I don't have an
So-
argument with the dispatcher.
I understand. So you don't know if there was a state police car
I don't.
available.
I have no idea. But
The state police could very well have been farther away.
But my argument is, I don't want to hear people saying it's going to take 15 minutes to get a state cop to an emergency if they have a barracks in this town. That's no argument anymore. Not when it takes 31 minutes for a local to come up to my place.
Okay. The last time we had this conversation, I asked you if you could arrange for a meeting.
I'm not going to arrange, that is not my job, Bill. That's not my job. If you are an elected
Wait.
official and
Yes.
you are elected to save the town money.
Yes.
If you think there's a viable option by talking to the state police, then you should be talking to the state police.
I have. That's what I'm trying to, okay, you're the one that keeps coming forward with the idea of putting a state troopers barracks. I have talked with our state representatives. I have talked with the state police. None of them have any interest in putting a barracks in Ticonderoga.
What?
What do you want?
Okay.
What am I supposed to do, Dick?
Okay, then let me ask you this. what would they say to you if you said to them, I'm sorry, but we just can't tax the people anymore. With the water project we have, with this we have, with that we have, you gotta have the fire protection, you gotta have some sort of police protection, which we have state police here, and we always got state police running through Ticonderoga. We always have a sheriff's department, usually running through Ticonderoga. There's always a sheriff's car or a state police car running around Ticonderoga someplace.
24/7?
But the only option you have that you could legitimately cut is your local police. And by doing that, your insurance of the town would also go down.
It's another issue that we're going to put on that same list. We're going to have to agree to disagree.
Fine with me. But I mean, I just don't want to hear people saying that the state police can't respond as quick as Ty. Because it takes 31 minutes, and if my life was in danger, believe me, I'm glad I got Smith & Wesson on my side.
I bet you would have said something different when that operator said, what's your emergency?
No, I wouldn't. Why should I lie, Bill? Why should I lie?
If your life is in danger, wouldn't you consider that a little different? Wouldn't you
And I had
consider
to wait
that?
for any cop to come?
Yeah.
I figure my chances are better with a Smith & Wesson than waiting for you, the state police
I don't-
or the local cop.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
You betcha.
Anyone else? Thank you. We'll move along to our resolutions. We have a resolution to accept or correct the minutes of the regular and special meetings. Moved by Mr. Taylor. Second?
I wasn't here, I have to abstain.
I'll second.
Second by Fred. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution to approve the sewer and water reports. Any questions? And we need to move it first.
I'll move it.
Move, second.
I'll second it.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution to approve the supervisor's monthly financial report.
I'll make that resolution.
Oh, if you got a question, we got a motion, we get a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've signed it, so I can't really say too much.
No, that's not the supervisor report.
Oh.
That's the abstract voucher.
That's right, yep.
I do have one little question.
Sure.
On the receipts for September, there's something called AIM for $23,000. What's AIM?
That's a very good question. Hang on. I can't think. I'm gonna have to get back to you,
Okay.
all right? But I'm sure it's,
Here you go. That help?
It's on the next page.
It's on the next one?
Yeah. It's under A3001. Just above snow removal.
yeah.
Accrued interest.
I can't bring it to my head. I'm sorry.
What's the account code, Chad?
3001.
3001.
A3001.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. You call me in the morning, by 8:05, I'll have that answer.
Okay.
Any more questions? Comments? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution authorizing the interfund advances as per the general municipal law 9A.
I'll move that. It's all water and sewer.
Yep.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Do we need to read all those? No. Okay. Everybody has them in their packet, so it's,
I don't know what this is, but I can't come up with it.
any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A resolution authorizing Carla Bigliotti and Amy Quisnell to attend the Association of Towns training in Kingston on November 13th, 2014. It's a refresher training, mainly accounting.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. A resolution to schedule a public hearing on the Chilson Fire Department annual contract for November 13th at 6 p.m. That's a review of their,
Budget?
annual budget.
I'll make that res.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Two things I'd like to bring up, but I don't know whether you should do it or I should do it, but they need to be notified to get their audit reports in.
It's under contract, we shouldn't do them, but
I think we should notify them of that. We should also notify them of this event so that they can attend.
Now, does our auditor have to audit that
No.
report?
No, the board audits.
Board audits.
The board audits.
So,
To do with the airport?
They don't. I'm not going to say if I don't.
Okay. All right.
I think so, but I'm not.
I think that's what I was
I think it's
thinking.
with the airport. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. We'll now go to the committee reports. Whoop, sorry, yes, we can. I'll entertain a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now we'll go to committees. I'm going to shuffle the order that they're listed on here a little bit so that Mr. Smith doesn't have to stay any longer than absolutely necessary. We'll go to Public Works first. Sewer and water, the minutes are there for your review. Probably the biggest item we have is that since our last meeting, the well is at depth, and they are manufacturing the screen and stuff that goes in it. Other than that, if you have any questions or comments for Tracy? I have a question. How did the valve replacement go today? I didn't hear anything, so.
We're pretty slick. Washington.
Good. Good.
Bill, I have one question here.
Certainly.
Is it possible that I could catch your ear, you guys' ear, for a personnel matter after the board meeting?
Yep. Okay, if there's no other questions, we'll move to operation efficiency. Chatty, we've been working hard on the electric. You've been working extremely hard on the electric. You want to go over Mr. Davis'
sure.
proposals?
With regard to electric usage, we're finding that after reviewing the costs, that we found we have 50 different electric accounts that service streetlights, buildings, the wastewater treatment plant, transfer station, pumps, PRVs, etc. These accounts have 3 different suppliers who are National Grid, NYSEG, and American Power and Gas. American Power and Gas has 40 of those accounts. The cost of electricity increased dramatically over the past 2 years, with American Power and Gas accounts increasing greater than all the others. For example, in 2012, our total electric cost was $250,840. In 2013, it increased a total of almost $86,000, or 34%. And when I took the average that we paid in 2014 and annualized that to 2014, to the end of the year, I was projecting another 21% increase, or $72,000. Bless you.
Bless you.
So we discovered that in looking more closely at the American Power and Gas accounts, they had been charged, for the last 2 years, we've been charged sales tax, which is a total of $17,000, almost $700, which we're hoping that we'll get back. Supervisor Grinnell has been in contact with them. The other thing is that their kilowatt hour charge was almost double that of National Grid and NYSEG. So we're looking to discontinue that contract and have National Grid become our supplier.
One thing I would point out, I haven't had a chance to talk with Chatty about, is that with further investigation of that contract with American Gas and Electric, there's also supposed to be a rebate check at the end of each 12-month period to the tune of 25%. For whatever reason, the town didn't receive one for 2013, and we have not yet reached the 12-month period in 2014. I did contact American Gas and Electric again. They have indicated that they are going to issue a new check, provided, well, the first thing they did was state that they had sent the check, which, okay, but we did not receive it. And we reaffirmed our mailing address with them, and they're going to be sending us another check according to them. We've not seen either check at this point in time. Hopefully, we're going to soon, and they should be rather substantial sums of money.
Did they commit to how much those would be? Or?
No,
25%.
they have not committed to what they will be. I didn't push that issue because, quite frankly, I'm a little curious as to how they compute their 25% in their sales tax, and it may be a bit early in the game to tell them what we expect. If this, if they come up with the proper figures, fine and dandy, but the proof will be in the checks.
But this 2013 actual, I mean, is that reflective of the rebate also? Or is,
No, I don't think we received one.
We should be receiving.
We haven't received a rebate for 2013.
No, and the rebate would be based on that amount less than 17,000.
Well, and that 336,000,
That's total.
that was total 50 accounts.
Okay.
That wasn't just
So it would be-
that company.
It
So that
would
was
be
our
only
total for the year.
It'll only be the American
I see.
accounts,
Bill?
the total accounts, yes.
I know you mentioned that you were negotiating with them for rates. I mean, I know the wastewater plant, the water plant, the rates are based on a demand. And lots of times, many times, the old rate, where the American Mohawk charge, the demand was a larger part of your bill. And I noticed, I look at the charges, they're still looking at our demand. Well, you may want to check and see what the demand rate is.
But I don't think American has your accounts.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
Is that what it said on the, I thought it was American Power and Gas, something like that? Yeah, but I don't have it.
Okay.
He has several accounts in the master
Yeah.
summary.
Pretty sure they do, because I brought the question about electricity 2 years ago.
That's where B&D's and say there's some money, Tracy.
Ours tripled. Wastewater plant tripled.
Well,
The usage didn't triple.
yeah.
The rate.
The rates.
Well, I did, I can give you a copy of the spreadsheet that I did. They sent a history of all 40 accounts, and I was able to put the totals into an Excel spreadsheet by account number that looked at the kilowatt hour usage, the rate, and the total in tax
You
that.
gotta look at that demand though, because that's.
I understand.
Well, it tells, I have a record of the rate, but I don't have,
There's two rates.
Yeah, there is,
Yeah.
there is,
And the demand
it's,
may be,
it's on there,
you gotta be careful.
yeah.
well, this is, all I have here is a summary, I didn't bring the whole, these are 40 different spreadsheets
Yeah.
that covered almost a 2-year period, so it's kind of tedious to
Okay.
pull that information out.
Okay.
But I see with the National Grid bill that they do show electric demand and electric usage as two different things.
Yes.
So,
The other,
we
the other
can look
part
at
of
that
this,
for you.
okay, the other part of this that I'd like Chatty to address is the studies that we had done here in the Armory to upgrade fixtures and devices that will offer us a payback situation in a very short amount of time for the investment we have to make. And it's done through grants with NYSERDA and National Grid.
These are actually, when I said through NYSERDA, that was a misstatement. These are actually through National Grid. But they came up with 2 proposals, one for the Armory and one for the community building, and these are in the packet. I summarized them just for my notes to National Grid contracts through Rise Engineering, who conducted the survey. It's part of their Small Business Services Program, and they gave us a proposal for the Armory and the community building separately. For the Armory, the estimated cost to change the lighting to energy-efficient fixtures and bulbs, the total cost would be $20,500, and the National Grid contribution to that would be $6,900. The estimated town cost would be $13,600, and they estimate the annual savings on that to be $3,337 and a payback period of 49 months. Now, after the work is done, this would go on the National Grid bill, and we have the choice of financing it over a 3-month or 12-month period at no interest, or if we pay the lump sum in the first month, then we get a 15% discount. So that kind of reduces the payback period if we can pay in a lump sum. And so that's what that $13,600 payment cost goes down to $12,151 for the Armory if we do it lump sum. For the community building, the job cost is $7,000. The National Grid contribution is $3,600. The cost to the town would be $3,400. The annual savings would be $1,700, and the lump sum and the payback period on the community building would be 23 months. If we pay the cost in a lump sum payment, the cost goes from $3,400 to $3,100. So it's a total, if we use a lump sum payment, it's a total of $15,256. And these payments, if we vote on it tonight and give the go-ahead, they'll get this in progress right away. The work will probably be done in the next 6 weeks or so. We probably won't see the bill until next budget year, though. It'll be in our National Grid bill in 2015. David Liano asked about the community building in the gymnasium, and would those lights be protected because basketballs tend to hit those lights, and they're actual gymnasium lights. They have wire cages in their shatterproof glass, The other good thing about the gym lights is that now we have these lights that take a long time to turn on and heat up, and so people tend to turn them on and leave them on. With this new system, they won't have to do that. You can turn them on and off at will, so there'll be not only less wattage, but much less usage, because you won't have to leave them on and you're not really needing them.
The other thing is that we have funds available in our buildings to do this work. And it's something that, obviously it's to our distinct advantage to get it done. Anyone like to make a motion to accept these two proposals? And moved by Mr. Taylor. Can I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Just got a question, Dave has blessed us though in terms of coming out of his budget and everything?
Yes,
Yeah.
he's well aware. Yep. I wish he was here tonight so he could tell you how excited he is to spend some of his money.
He is supportive of what we talked about.
You make Lincoln scream before he lets
We've
go.
discussed this several times.
Yeah.
So
Any
we-
further discussion?
Questions?
Any questions? Yes.
Does this include any upgrades to the outside lighting of the Armory building?
I believe it does. They're gonna be LEDs, wall package things.
What Ann's talking about is where the seniors go in down there. They're hoping to get some lighting up there to light that ramp like,
I'm not sure if that's included in it or not, Ann, but when they come and do the work, we can modify. I know where you're talking about down by the garage door down there, that I know that can be included.
It does show a side entry door. It's not for additional lighting, but it's to replace the lighting that's there now.
Right.
That'll help.
Yeah, these should be more, they
Well,
should be brighter.
yeah, but if we need to add a light, it would be the time to do it. You're gonna have all the mobilization done, you're gonna have the people and equipment there to do it with. If that's what we need, that's what we'll do. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I have couple other things for operations efficiency, and then it goes into buildings and grounds as well. We did we did a comparison of the highway department with other local highway departments, and I showed the packet has the difference in the total highway department cost per mile and the highway department labor cost per mile as compared to Crown Point, Mariah, Hague, and Putnam.
Yeah, that information was, we discussed this at the financial, correct?
Right.
And that information is available on the website. If you go to the Thai website and you click on highway and then click on budget reports, you will have all the charts and graphs that Chetty and the committee have prepared, and it's very informative material. Don't mean to steal your thunder.
No, that's fine, thank you. I didn't know it was on, or I'd forgotten it was on the website. So next, any questions about that?
Yeah, just at the end of it all, Patty, is there going to be, specific recommendations? I mean, in terms of the analysis of what you've been doing?
Oh, I would think so. When the board has had a chance to have discussion of it, and as we develop through, grow through the budget process, I'm sure there will be more to come. Yeah.
Yeah, that information is timely, I think, since we're going through the budget process right now.
Exactly. Very.
Yeah, and it's looking to be a pretty hefty increase in the highway budget than what's been proposed, so.
Well, the proposal is, but we're a long ways from. Yes, Richard?
Could you give us a quick summary of what the preliminary results show as to what the reason is that the costs are higher here in town?
Right now, we're not prepared to do that, but if you want to go online and read it, you can, I'm sure you'll be able to develop some opinions.
Did you pick up a packet? Yeah. Oh, right. You've got both of those, okay. One of the things that it shows is that our cost per mile is considerably higher than the other towns. A part of that is the labor component. Not saying that that's the only component, but we have more people to do the work on staff than other towns do. And it was analyzed per mile so that you had some common denominator to look at. Operations, if there are no other questions, I'd just like to go over a couple things with buildings and grounds.
Okay.
We don't have minutes to buildings and grounds meeting, but a couple of things that David wanted me to mention is the Armory oil tank passed the DEC inspection in April, but we still need to plan for its replacement possibly in 2015, just as a consideration for next year's budget. Also considered will be upgrades to the current oil burners and or conversion to propane for cost and efficiency. The other thing that we're looking at and I don't know, this is going to come up later when we talk about highway, but the highway garage is in really rough shape, and we need significant renovations for safety and energy efficiency. So we're requesting engineering proposals. So
Yes, I don't know, Dave was supposed to contact Alfondre, and I spoke with AES today in regards to developing a specific document for the renovation at the highway garage. And hopefully that'll be taking place soon.
Just as an aside, the same company who's doing our energy efficient lighting may be able to help us in our renovation by providing some of the upgrades.
I talked with Ken Davis this afternoon, the gentleman that prepared our other reports, and he is on board, and we can actually take advantage of the same kind of savings and same kind of grant opportunity with the renovation work that we're doing with the upgrades in this building in the Armory. When we do the work at the highway building, they will come in and coordinate that with us and with the engineers or architects, whoever does the design work. It'll all be designed in. It will be there. The same electricians will come in and do that work, and we can capture those savings.
And they have a department that also looks at heating. So they look at it, maybe that'll help us fund some of the renovations if they...
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder if we could get them to look at the tank work at the Armory with the concept of if we do go with propane.
I could ask them to look at, to come up and look at the Armory.
If that would be in their scope of work.
Didn't we already pay Alfondre to do it, started?
No, there's a misconception.
What is the misconception?
Okay, the misconception is the degree of information that's put forth in the Alfondre report. We're looking for documents that we can take to a bid situation.
Right. I was here at a board meeting where a resolution was passed that a set of documents that Alfondre prepares a set of documents, bid documents.
Not for the renovation at the highway garage.
Not the highway. It was
What was that for?
It was for this building, and...
It's for work on this building, it's for the entrance work at the Armory.
And the Heritage.
Wasn't there something at the 88 building?
The Heritage Museum, I think
Yeah,
so.
but it did, not the highway garage.
And what it was, Tracy, is they were looking at they were directed to look at a capital project as
two
opposed
different-
to maintenance.
Okay.
Maintenance rehab.
I think we're looking at two different things, okay? You're looking at the preliminary reports that they prepared on all the buildings.
Right.
I think Tracy's talking about this spring,
The bid specs.
we asked them to prepare bid spec documents on certain items of work here, the Armory, the
Right.
88 building, and
Okay, so maybe
something
I
else.
wasn't including that, but
No,
we
it wasn't.
we hired Alfondre to do some type of a study, I thought.
Yes, but it's not to the degree that we
No.
could use. It needs to be
Okay.
fleshed out and completed.
Okay.
That's
I got you.
okay?
All right, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So you're
That's-
actually looking for a set of documents to,
We're looking at something we can work from. We're looking
Okay.
at, we're looking at work drawings.
And they did a whole, for the highway, they proposed a whole new building that included highway, it was a public works building. It was, a couple $1 million, $3 million, I think. So that's, backing away from. Any more questions? One last item I have is the police station replacement and/or relocation continues to be a concern, and engineers are going to be looking at that as well.
Yes. The Buildings and Grounds Committee met with me, and we are of the opinion that we have an extremely good building that would accommodate the police department in what is now being used as a storage building behind the Armory. We feel that can be adapted into a very usable, sound police building that will last the town for another 50 to 100 years. We own it. We don't have to lease it. It's sound. It needs interior renovation and maybe a bit of exterior renovation to make it completely functional. There is some concern from some of the residents of traffic entering into Amherst Avenue. I've talked with Chief Johns, and we feel that should be a non-issue because that building has 2 points of egress, one being Champlain Avenue, one being Amherst Avenue, and we are going to use the Champlain Avenue side unless it is some type of extreme emergency. So there should not be significant traffic to Amherst Avenue. And the building is enclosed, it's actually fenced, it's centrally located, it's very close to our schools, so if we should have an emergency situation at our schools that needs police presence, they will be very close. And there are a lot of people that think that is a good idea. I have contacted the AES. They are going to look at that building and try and give us an idea what it would cost to prepare documents for that. And I'll be talking with Dave in the morning to see where he stands with Alfondre, and if they haven't been contacted, we're going to get a price from AES and Alfondre as to completing those documents. They're both on staff. We'll approach both of them, see which one wants to do it. They both have the architectural and engineering capabilities to do it. So we will be speaking with them in the very near future to try and get both these projects up and running. The highway project, I think it's going to be farther down the road. The police project, we would like to get underway sometime next year, hopefully.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
No, those are the major things, that buildings and grounds and parks and recs are merged into one committee now. We've got a lot of things going on, but those are the major ones that I wanted to bring forth tonight.
Highway, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, sir. We had our meeting on September 30th. Meeting with myself, Fred, Mike Parent, Farley, Carla, Don Deming, Chatty, Dave Woods in attendance. Just to summarize what transpired, we did go over the revenue and expense report. The general repairs budget for the summer are finished for 2014. The machinery repairs budget is running close for the end of 2014. The town board resolved to change the electricity supplier to National Grid and found that we were paying tax on electric bills and should receive a refund. Under the superintendent's report, attached is a list of the roads that need to be repaired for next year and the current estimate. This estimate does not include the Bear Pond Road work, and that will be attached to the minutes, folks. If you want to look at that, it'll be on the website. The contaminated soil cleanup at the highway garage is complete, and fall catch basin work will begin next week, which it had Tuesday. I recollect hearing them doing cleaning. In 2015, they have an additional line item painting estimate that is at $3,200. We did note that Tom Dahlbeck up on Colonial Street, thankfully, has given us an easement so we can complete some drainage work. The town clerk's office is compiling a list of streetlights that are out. The New York State Police have checked the garbage trucks, which have been reported to be overweight, and they are within limits. Corduroy Road needs a sign for trucks, directing them on 74 as opposed to driving across the Corduroy Road and ended up tipped over up there on the swamp a couple times, so we're trying to get that remedied. It was asked if we had any budget projections with potential employees retiring, and we were told that there were none at this time. Discussion was held on the winter usage of salt and sand and the computers that regulate the spreading of salt and sand that are on board in the trucks. We did also talk about maintenance and heating of the highway garage. We are working with the town attorney on a local law that would limit weights on posted roads, and that's an ongoing piece of work right now. We did receive approval for a radio frequency from the Federal Communications Commission to be used on the new county 911 radio system that would allow the highway garage to communicate. We are working on the 2015 highway budget, and costs are, increasing significantly, so we're going to try to pare that down, salt especially, and asphalt. And our next scheduled highway meeting is October 28th at 5 p.m.
Thank you, sir. Human Services?
The youth meeting, September 15th. Call to order at 5 p.m. Discuss basketball starting in November and running through December. Discuss grants of the things we did and did not do. Discuss the budget and attendance of the after-school program. Discuss a camera for the skating rink, basketball court, Little League Park, and etc. Discussed hiring Steve Thompson for after-school program. The rule is there has to be 2 people overseeing the kids at all times. Discussed healthy foods for the kids. Next meeting will be Tuesday, October 14th, being Monday the 13th is Columbus Day. The seniors, the meeting was called to order 1 p.m. by Cora Vault, acting president, with a pledge of allegiance to the flag of our country. There were 16 members present. With the election of the officers, Cora Vault was nominated with no other nominations. The secretary casted 1 vote. Vice President-elect to fill out Cora Vault's term of 1 year. Kathy Burdick, was elected as vice president. Secretary Ann Dahlbeck was re-elected as secretary. The senior voted to give $250 to St. Mary's for their recent loss. The seniors ask if there is going to be some kind of a treatment of the well water at Street Road. Another question, is there anything being done about the transportation for the out-of-town medical appointments? The county is looking into it, was my answer. Next meeting is October 15th, 1 p.m. at the Armory.
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
Fred, Patty Bashaw might be someone who could answer some of that stuff, some of those questions, those specific questions like that. You could maybe give her a call. Or maybe keep them involved.
Yeah, I know
She's
Patty.
really-
Or Nancy?
Is it Nancy?
I don't think she actually oversees that part, does she?
No, Nancy, I can't think of her last name.
Yeah.
There's a different girl that does transportation.
Nancy, yeah, Dougal.
Dougal.
Nancy Dougal.
Dougal?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Insurance committee?
They did have a meeting yesterday. I was unable to attend as I had to work. Pretty much the summary of it is that they have our final rate increase for 2015 came in at 12.5%. Mark did go over some different ideas, some different, nothing that I could see represented much savings without really gutting the plan that we've got. So we'll just have to continue to work on it. As a board, just take a look at these packets that they've got to some of the options that we could look at. He will be coming to our next budget workshop, and on the 28th, our financial meeting on the 28th at 11:30 to review the 2015 rates and then to answer any specific questions that the board may have.
Okay. Thank you. Airport?
The fuel farm is supposed to be started. They're preparing for everything up there at this time to get started anyways. That was the main talk about the airport meeting we had.
Yep. As of yesterday, the contractor hadn't got there, but they expect him before the week is out, so. Library?
I have nothing to report.
Okay. We did inspect the hearth situation and the roof situation at the library. The hearth is a situation that is a result of some of the construction work that was done in the expansion and remodel. Needs to be addressed. It is not an insurmountable problem, but we're going to have to find some money if we can't get the contractor and architect to step up. The roof situation, in my opinion, that $2 will get you a cup of coffee, is a result, from what I can determine without taking parts of the roof apart, it appears to be the materials that were specified for the venting of the eaves may not be suitable for the climate that we have. And when we have a severe winter like we had last year, and on the shaded side of the building, you get snow and ice accumulation, it's sealing up the eave ventilation so that it won't allow the roof to clear as it normally should and causes water backup. Again, it's a contractor architect issue. They are not really forthcoming to address any of this. I'm not sure where the work that was done is 5 or 6 years old. Obviously, I'm not trying to shift things around, and I'm not going to blame George Bush, but I didn't have a lot to do with what took place there. And we are working hard to try and get the two issues resolved. The hearth is going to be fairly easy to do if we can find the funds to do it with. The roof may be a bit more complex to get into. There's no report from the Board of Health tonight, and there's nothing to report on contract negotiations other than to say that we were in contact with the CSEA rep. and we are in the planning stages of setting dates to begin contract negotiations with the highway crew. We'll go to our department heads.
I just had a couple things to say about economic development.
Okay.
Just kind of skipped over that.
I thought that was, okay. Go ahead.
We're still waiting, the Pride is still waiting on a decision about the sawmill project, and hopefully those grants will be announced this week. They're still working really hard on trying to get the natural food co-op going, and I encourage anybody who's interested to contact Pride or the Chamber to get a brochure. In fact, I think we have some upstairs. It would be a new business, hopefully downtown, and it would be member-owned, but it's not going to happen if we don't get 300 members. So it would be an important service to the community as well as an important business downtown. So please ask everybody, please consider joining the co-op or asking for more information. Today we did have, with regard to kind of food co-op or oriented, the farmers market this year has been very successful at the location just off the traffic circle. And they're looking at expanding it next year and probably having a new location. And also they're looking for people to help manage it. And if anybody's interested in volunteering to do that, you could call June Curtis at the Chamber office. And finally, today I attended a meeting of Roost, which is the Office of Sustainable Tourism. And what we're working on, a regional destination master plan to create a unified destination area between the communities of Ticonderoga, Crown Point, Hague, Marai, and Putnam to showcase our common and unique opportunities and experiences. The thought is that united, we're a tourism destination area because we will be included in it will be 5 towns, 3 counties, and 2 regional economic destination councils. So today we met and identified 6 goals and are identifying strategies to help us reach those goals. So it's a great group of people, and we're making good progress. Thank you.
We'll move along to department heads. We can start with Mr. Fuller.
All right. Wayne, you did note about the highway posting law. I did send a draft. The only thing I wanted to verify on that was the weight. I had a couple notes I didn't put 15 tons.
That's what he had told me, 15 tons would include oil trucks and the garbage truck.
So if you want, you can get started on that if it's going back to committee, or if you want to set a public hearing and send it to committee.
I set the public hearing in.
That's kind of my thought.
Committee verify.
If you want to set the public hearing for November, then that'll give it committee time within the next month. Just remember that if there's any changes, we need at least 10 days legally before that meeting.
Changes to be
Structural.
Okay.
Yeah, a typo or clarifying that would be fine.
I'll get it uploaded in minutes of that. I'll get right on it.
Okay.
So this listed 1 road. Is that just as an example, or is that the only one we're after?
That was the only one. I made it, I drafted it so that going forward, you could add to it if you wanted to, without having to redraft a new law every single time. You can just make that a list of the highways if it ever came up again. User friendly. So you could do that if you wanted.
I would like to move resolution, set the public hearing.
Do we have a second?
I'll
So
second.
it's going to be at the next board.
Next board meeting.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Codes, there was a discussion of codes, and Councilman Giuliano reached out to me after the last public safety meeting because there was a discussion about what properties were on the list, what aren't, how come certain properties aren't getting addressed. So I met with him, Councilman Hunston, and Bill Ball, just to go over that. Some of the committee people were here. Just so everybody knows, I take direction from you you guys, the town board, through supervisor. That's how it's been since we started this 13 years ago. And so any properties that when Bill calls me or he may send something down, comes through you guys. So, you know, I know there's expense and priorities and things like that, so it's not, there are no properties that are on any list that are waiting for me. The second you unleash me, I will go after a property. We're doing it right now, and you know, we've got the one on Lord Howe. Update on that, at the end of the month meeting, the town board had given the property owner until yesterday at 3 o'clock. That's on 163 Lord Howe. Moran is the property owner. We went to court yesterday at 4:30, and she appeared and said that she had a dump truck hired for today to go clean up that property, and that it would be cleaned up today. The court gave her until 3 o'clock tomorrow, an extra day to get it done, which I thought if she did have one hired, it was reasonable. I just drove by on the way here myself, and nothing's been done. I have nothing started. It's the same garbage that was there yesterday, so she has, for the court's eyes, until tomorrow at 3. Our resolution said yesterday at 3, but obviously I wouldn't go against the court. I would take the court's recommendation and give her till tomorrow at 3, and if not, it'll be up to the town board's discretion at that point when the highway crews or whoever's going to do it can get out there and clean that property up. We were back on 2 weeks from yesterday. I forget the
Do we
exact
need
date.
to take any special precautions in terms of the person, you know, the health and safety of the employees or anything like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, you would be in reason with any job. You know, if you've got OSHA regulations, things like that, boots, all that stuff, yes. You know, they should be taking precautions. Who knows what's in the bags? You're not reaching in the bags. You get stabbed with anything in there, so.
I would say we should take exactly the same precautions that we take at the transfer station. They'll be handling the same thing that the transfer station people do. So we'll treat it exactly the same way.
And the other thing I was going to throw out too is if if there's anything that's personal property, that's the risk is a fine line between garbage and personal property. That stuff would be set aside, put near the garage or whatever, but I think the crews have pretty good discretion with, you know, what they're cleaning up. I drove by and I didn't see a big distinguishment of what's outside now.
And this court order is going to allow our people to go on that private property?
No, you have done, it's two different things. You've got the civil side, which is the public hearing and everything going through under the litter law, and the criminal side, which we are dealing with in the criminal court. The two, they overlap, but the court does not grant the authority for you to go do it. Your local law does. If she's going to challenge that, that's completely up to her. The criminal side is going to deal, frankly, if it doesn't get cleaned up by her and we have to go clean it up, that's going to be a little bit different tack in the criminal matter. It's just the reality of plea bargains and things like that. So we're moving ahead on that one. I had on my list too, just to keep on the radar, it sometimes comes up at the last second, property tax cap. If you're under it, fine, that's okay. If you're going to come close to it or bump up against it, make sure we've got time to get our public hearing on and things like that. Because there are time frame limits as to what we can do. Still going back and forth with the Department of Health and EPA on the tribunal order. We've had emails and discussions the last week since our last meeting. There will be an order coming from EPA. We don't have it yet. But obviously, as soon as I get it, I'll forward it to you. I've been keeping you up to date on all the correspondence that's going on with that. So that was certainly a difference. The highway and the DEC, we are going to get back to DEC to try to see if we can get that requirement of monitoring wells lifted. That cleanup went better, frankly, than I thought it was going to. It was a really good sign. I mean, AES and Atlantic Testing did a good job of putting together a good report. So hopefully we can go back to DEC, try to save the town a little bit of money with not having to drop monitoring wells if we can. There's really no reason for that. I think that was the bulk of it. We got a lot of different things going on. Time Warner did today approve the lease. So as Mr. Grinnell reported last time, that was a many thousands of a % increase for the town the farther the rent you're getting there. And I think that's...
The fire insurance claim, we didn't.
They did not.
We didn't adopt.
Oh, so
We didn't adopt it.
Yeah,
We had the
have
public
resolution
hearing.
to adopt that law. keep track of all this.
We aren't done yet. Thank you. Chief Johns?
Oh, just a few things from the meeting since Councilman wasn't here. Veterans Road, we had quite a few visitors who are residents of Veterans Road who came into the Public Safety Committee reporting some quality of life issues up on Veterans Road with some reckless driving and youthful gimmicks that are going on up on that road. We had a very constructive conversation with that group of residents, and the Public Safety Committee really sympathizes with them, and we're going to work on some different strategies to try to get more results on enforcement actions with their concerns that they have out there. We also established a subcommittee of the Public Safety Committee that is going to start looking at drafting a local law that's going to provide for permitting of taxi cab companies and those people who operate taxi cabs within the town of Ticonderoga as a matter of public safety. Our subcommittee is going to be looking at similar local laws that other municipalities have, using some of the same language and regulations that those other towns have before we provide that to the town board and town council to look over to see if anything jumps out at them. The last thing, the Public Safety Committee is also going to be a broken record on that corduroy road issue, just like the Highway Committee is about trying to get some sort of a solution on that. I did talk to the town board about that at the mid-monthly financial meetings, so there's no need to really further discuss it right now. And lastly, Commissioner Margaret Baumann and I are here tonight, and we would like to request a short executive session just for to talk to the board about the promotion of the next police sergeant.
Thank you. And last but not least, our town clerk.
I just want to say that there's going to be a rabies clinic next Tuesday. I believe it's the 15th. No, it's not. It's Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah.
Wednesday, the 15th, at the Highway Garage. It's going to be from 6 to 7. That is our last fall clinic for the year. And I just wanted to let you guys know that there is going to be a meeting, a public hearing for the Zoning Board of Appeals on a issue of a local law that we have prohibiting residences on first floor of the commercial district, and some of these are giving now. So that will be the 22nd at 6 o'clock.
So you start this application.
And then we have the local law about fire insurance, if you want to do anything with that.
That's the next item on my agenda. You said the 22nd?
The 22nd.
That's just the zoning board of appeals will be meeting to hear this variance.
Requesting a variance of
Okay.
local law.
Public hearing.
Okay.
For you, sir, is that?
Next item on the agenda is the proposed local law regulating fire insurance claims in the town of Ticonderoga. We had the public hearing earlier. Would anyone like to make a resolution adopting this?
I'll move it.
Moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I think it's timely. I think it needs to be done. I agree with everything that was said here earlier. I mean, I really feel that it's, I mean, if you have a fire, if I had a fire, I would clean it up and I wouldn't make it a nuisance to my neighbors, you know? And that's the long and the short of it.
That's the issue. It's not, the intent of the law is not to punish. The intent of the law is to protect, and it's to protect the people that wind up living next door to a burned-out house. They shouldn't have to. And we're going to see if we can eliminate that situation. Anybody else?
I think it's a good law. You know, we had to pay for all the cleanups of all the houses that burned. That would be really costly.
We may, that's, with what we have right now, you know, if the people decide they're going to walk away, that's the position we're in. We need to react in a much more timely manner when a fire occurs. I understand that it's devastating to the people involved, but they've got to understand that there's a reason we're doing what we're doing, and that's because the taxpayers have been stung too many times.
And some of these houses are gonna take somewhere in the neighborhood of 100,000 to clean them up and everything,
So
so.
I don't know that it'll get that high, but it can be, it can be substantial, without question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. I would accept a resolution to exit the regular board meeting and proceed.
Before you do that, do you want to authorize a prepaid for bill balls?
Yes, please.
And that one for Carla too, for the dirty dirt, for the,
You just need it,
We did that.
did we do it?
We did that.
Okay.
but you need to authorize a prepaid for code enforcement officer Bill Ball and his clerk Daniel Holman for their Danielle and for their mileage reimbursement for last month.
Yes.
It just didn't get.
It didn't get put in a timely manner. Mr. Ball was ill on Monday and didn't get it submitted.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Moved and
No
seconded.
matter. Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Tanya. I told you I wouldn't forget that, right? And I
I
did.
sent it on to you.
And I did. You're just covered. Thank you. I owe you. God, I said that in public. Now we'll entertain a resolution to move to executive session to discuss particular personnel.
I'll make it.
Motion made and second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.